Hello, and welcome to Leveraging AI to Enhance Learning for High Ability Students, brought to you by Keep Indiana Learning. I'm your presenter, Jessica Zepik, a media STEM specialist at East Elementary School, which is a part of South Madison Community Schools in Pendleton, Indiana. You can find my email address and social media handle there on the screen. I would love to connect with you after this presentation if you have questions or just would like to discuss the content further. I'm also a proud innovation coach with Keep Indiana Learning. The reason I'm interested in high ability students and meeting their needs is because when I was in a classroom, I did teach high ability students, fifth grade, for about 8 years. I do have my high ability endorsement. So now as an instructional coach, when I come across resources, my mind is always going to how could these meet the needs of those high ability learners that I once had in the classroom and now do support as an instructional coach. So let's talk about high ability learners and how they are defined in Indiana. So we are talking about students who perform at or show the potential for performing at an outstanding level of accomplishment in at least one domain when compared with other students of the same age, experience, or environment, and is characterized by exceptional gifts, talents, motivations, or interests. So when we talk about high ability learners, we know that there are some common characteristics. For example, they learn new material quickly, they remember what they've learned, and typically they have advanced critical thinking skills. While all that is great, sometimes there are also some common challenges. For example, they may have a fear of failure or social isolation due to perceived differences with their peers or perfectionism. Their needs, high ability students need a challenging academic environment, and this includes enrichment, accelerated learning, and appropriate social and emotional support. And I know we can't lump all high ability students into these particular categories and characteristics, but we're just talking about the typical high ability student. And I can attest from my years of experience working with high ability students, these are some of the common characteristics, challenges, and needs. So today I'm going to share with you some teacher-facing solutions that come from artificial intelligence. And I just want to say that I will be sharing Magic School AI, which is an AI tool, but I wanted to highlight how many different AI tools are out there. So I encourage you to choose your favorite one, the one that you're most comfortable in using, because it's probably going to give you similar results to Magic School AI or even different results. So you can take the same concept that you're trying to learn about or find resources for, put it in a different AI tool, and you may get different results. So I want to draw your attention to the AI Teacher Toolkit that can be found at bit.ly/toolkit AI. And it looks like this, a fantastic resource from Ditch That Textbook that Matt Miller has curated that gives teachers and educators all kinds of ideas for AI tools that they can use. 40 for example. So, and also AI prompt examples. So I'm just going to briefly go through here to show you all of those AI tools. And again, I'm going to just focus on this one, Magic School, but I would encourage you to check out all of them. They all kind of do different things and produce different results. So again, I'm going to use Magic School AI, which offers over 40 AI tools that are searchable by keyword and categorized for planning, student support, community productivity, and community tools. And then Matt Miller has some great AI prompt examples, so just showing that those are in that resource. But I really wanted to point out the by the way lessons, and I really liked this quote here. It wants you to know, by the way, did you know that AI sometimes produces biased responses? It learns everything it knows from data from humans, and humans are biased. It passes on the bias it learns from humans. So I just wanted to share that because as we're talking about using AI, we always want to just double check that the results that it produces are what we wanted and check it for accuracy. And don't just kind of copy and paste or use a resource without really thinking about it and asking yourself if it meets whatever need you're trying to fulfill. So again, we're going to look at Magic School AI, which can be found at magicschool.ai. And I want to show you what that platform looks like. Yours may look a little bit different when you click on the Magic tools. I have several of them in my favorites, the ones that I wanted to share with you that I thought particularly went along with high ability students and meeting their needs. But there are so many Magic tools, and I would encourage you to really investigate all of them just to see what they can do. I could probably make this recording much longer by going through all of them, but I just wanted to pick out a few that I really thought could help meet the needs of those high ability students. So I'm going to start with classroom management. This is a new tool if maybe you're familiar with Magic School AI, and I have it defaulted to 5th grade just because that's what I teach, or that's what I taught, but you could put it with whatever grade, and then notice it goes from the pre-K all the way to professional staff level. So it really has a nice range of levels that it accommodates. So I'm just going to simply type in meeting the needs of high ability students. So maybe that's my classroom management challenge, and I'm going to click generate. And you'll see that it outputs several strategies. So whether you're a brand new teacher looking for strategies to get started with, or even a seasoned teacher who maybe needs some refreshment and some new strategies in their classroom, this is a great place to go and look. So here's an example of a strategy of these tiered learning centers. And what I love about Magic School AI is it doesn't just give you that description, but it shows you how to implement it. Here's another strategy, peer teaching and leadership roles. And again, how to implement it. It gives additional advice like maintaining a challenge corner with advanced puzzles, reading materials, and enrichment activities. I always called those anchoring activities in my classroom, but that is a great strategy to use because a lot of times those high ability students are early finishers. So especially if you have students, average ability students in your classroom, you're probably going to have those pocket of students who can complete assignments and activities earlier than others. So that is a great piece of advice there. And then they also have important considerations, and I already mentioned this, monitor for signs of perfectionism or stress in high ability students. So it even gives those ideas as well. So this is just a nice, again, getting started point, or some refresher ideas, or even if you're asked, from your administrator how you are meeting those needs of high ability students. These are some great suggestions of what you can share. Okay, another one is an SEL lesson plan. So we talked about the importance of meeting the social and emotional needs of high ability students. So I'm going to, again, just leave it at 5th grade, but you can adjust that as necessary. And I'm going to put encouraging healthy perfectionism. So we don't want to necessarily say that perfectionism is all bad, but we just want to know how we can encourage healthy perfectionism. And I'm going to keep the SEL competency at self-awareness, but I wanted to point out to you that they do have different competencies there as well. For example, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. They do have optional criteria, additional criteria, but I'm just going to leave it at that encouraging healthy perfectionism. Okay, so you'll notice that they give you this SEL lesson plan with an objective, an assessment, key points, an opening, an introduction to new material, guided practice, independent practice, closing, an extension activity, and homework. So that is a great lesson plan to start with. What I love about AI is it can give you just a starting point. So maybe you don't love this lesson plan, but it might spark an idea, or maybe you love a piece of it that you're going to use. Either way, within seconds, I had this SEL lesson plan that addresses maybe a need that I have in my classroom. Or if I have a parent who, asks for advice for a topic such as this is a great place to go for an example lesson or activity, or some type of, practice that the student can use to address that need. The next one I'm going to show you is social stories. And I've just noticed that with high ability students, sometimes they can have difficulties working in a group. And so I really like these social stories that you can generate to just help a student understand what to expect in a situation. So I'm going to just simply type in working in a group. That's the social situation, but I can put any event or activity in there that I want. And what it does is it creates this social story. So for example, I'm in 5th grade and sometimes I get to work in a group with my classmates. Working in a group can be fun and help me learn new things. When I work in a group, there are some important things to remember. So this could be used in a variety of ways. It can be used just as a preemptive, like, hey, I know that this particular student struggles when they work in a group, so I'm going to share this social story or ask them to read this social story before we get into that situation. So there are lots of different ways you can use this. What I like about Magic School AI is they always have an extension too. So they'll give you a prompt, but I would always say, always look at the extension. So for example, this one says, can you suggest some group activities for my students? Or what strategies can I teach my students for effective teamwork? So you can take one great idea and expand on that for additional great ideas. So always look for those extensions. Right, the next one I'm going to show you is a group work generator. So we've talked about group work, and so this time I'm going to leave it at 5th grade. I'm going to set it for 10 minutes, and I am just going to pull a standard from the Indian Academic Standards. So I just chose one to copy, and now I'm going to paste that in there. And I can even adjust the number of students participating and generate. And I love this group work generator because it gives me group roles, task instructions, reflection, so a post activity, and then a note for the teacher. What's really great about Magic School AI is I can go ahead and extend the prompt. So for this one, I'm going to put in okay, so I typed in one student in the group is identified as a high ability student. So now I can extend this prompt. And what I love about this is it has the same group work tasks. So we have the group roles, the task instructions, the reflection, but take a look at this. Now we have an additional role for the high ability student. So in addition to one of these roles, that high ability student may be the researcher. And they can extend the task by researching additional examples of percents and fractions or helping to create more complex diagrams and calculations. So I love that because, again, that high ability student may be able to fly through the work in this group and be done faster than the other group members. So now they are invited to extend the task by taking on this additional role. So I love that suggestion. And again, within seconds, I have this great lesson idea as well as how I could incorporate the needs for the high ability student in the group. The next one I'm going to point out is an advanced learning plan. And for this one, you can create an advanced learning plan for a particular student. So just to save time, I've already kind of gotten a description ready that I'm going to copy and paste in there. But you can put as much or as little detail about the student as you want to. So I have student is an intelligent kid. He excels in math and science. Although he reads well, he does not like to read. Student often needs to be reminded to turn in his assignments. Student is interested in baseball. His strengths are that he gets along well with his peers and seems to learn new material easily. So again, sounds like, a typical high ability student that may be plucked from any 5th grade classroom. So you can take a student in your class and give that description and then generate this advanced learning plan. And what I love about this is it would be great for a parent-teacher conference, for example, just to really dig into, what exactly this student may need, their strengths. So, pointing out strengths, especially to parents, would be a great way to start. And then go into the needs. So again, the student needs increased motivation to turn in assignments. And they love these goals. So we can actually set goals for the students and then have programming options and interventions. And it gives all of these examples of those options, as well as accommodations and modifications, progress monitoring, student and parent involvement. So I love this because just with a quick description of a student, I have all of this information that I can use just for myself as a teacher, or again, at a parent-teacher conference, or even with the student, you can talk about goals. And as always, you can edit any prompts. So if there is more here than what you need, or if you wanted to, refine that for a particular audience, it's really easy to edit it. So I love that advanced learning plan option. Accommodation suggestions kind of go along with those, with that same idea. So you can type in a particular area to support. And we talked about how sometimes high ability students have issues with peer relationships. Okay, so that's all I'm going to put in. So within seconds, I can have some accommodation suggestions, such as social skills training or a peer buddy system, structured group work, frequent check-ins. And again, I always want to point out these extras here at the bottom. So for the peer buddy system, maybe I read through that and I'm like, oh, I like the idea of pairing the student with a peer buddy. But now I want to have more details on how to implement that peer buddy system. So maybe out of all of these suggestions, that's the one I want. Of course, if it's not, I can always right here say something like, can you provide more details on how to implement the frequent check-ins? So I could create a similar prompt. But I'm just going to go ahead and click that and show you that it walks through the implementation of the peer buddy system step by step for you. So that's really nice. Just the basic lesson plan. Okay, I'm going to again paste that standard, that example standard that I used. And I could put in additional criteria. It is not required. I know when things are required because they have this little asterisk here. So the additional criteria is not required. Neither are the standards, but I went ahead and just put in that they're set to Indiana standards, and I can click generate. Okay, so not only do I get this great lesson plan that goes along with that standard for all of my students, but what I can do is I can click this plus actions button, and there is a custom button. So I just want to point out a couple of other options. I can translate it, I can add questions, adjust the length, I can summarize. I really like this custom button and differentiate. And so for the output above, and you can do this with any of the outputs, I can ask it to give me suggestions to differentiate it for a particular type of student. So for this example, I'm going to say, give me suggestions to differentiate it for high ability students. Okay. And again, they take this same lesson plan, but then they give suggestions for high ability students. For example, advanced problem solving or real world applications or exploring relationships, creative projects, etc. And that's just the basic lesson plan. Okay, and the next one I want to show you is a text leveler. So what's great about that is you can paste in any original text and have it be set to a particular grade level. So I am just going to simply take a piece of text from Britannica Kids. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, but again, you can use any piece of text that you would like. And I'm going to paste that in there. And now I can adjust the grade level of this. So if I do have an advanced reader, maybe I want this to be on a 7th grade level, for example, I can generate just different grade levels. So you can use this for, any grade. Maybe you have a 1st grade text that you want to make 1 or 2 grade levels higher. Basically, you can level this in any direction that you want. So this is really nice for high ability students because a lot of times our resources only align to our particular grade level. So this is a nice, easy way to differentiate and edit that text quickly to be of a higher reading level. Okay. The next one, DOK questions. So these are basically you can generate questions based on a topic or standard for each of the 4 depth of knowledge levels. So for this one, I'm going to adjust it back to 5th grade so that I can use that example standard that I've been using. But again, you can use it with any. And here's what's really nice about that. A lot of times, with students in our classroom, we have to meet them where they're at. So perhaps some students are only going to be able to complete the tasks or answer the questions on these lower DOK levels. And what's nice about this is for high ability students who have a little more advanced knowledge of the concept or are able to quickly go through the levels. Now we have right here at our fingertips these DOK level 3 and even level 4 concepts. So for example, on that particular standard, maybe a high ability student could analyze a real world situation where understanding percentages is crucial, explain why it matters. They could create a project that demonstrates how percentages can be used. They can design a game. So all of these are kind of like those anchoring activities or just enrichment. If the student proves that they have mastered the concept and are ready to move on to more difficult concepts or just dig deeper into the standard, this can give you some great ideas of what to do with those students or different activities that they could engage in. What I like about this is you could also give the students choice. So you could always, provide them with several ideas and ask them which they would rather do and meet their needs that way. So project-based learning really is great for high ability. They're great for all students, but particularly high ability students because it allows students to apply their knowledge to real world problems, develop those critical thinking skills, explore their interests, and showcase their creativity. So if you recall, when I typed in the description of that high ability student in another tool, I mentioned that they were into baseball. That was an interest of theirs. So I'm going to show you how little input I really have to do here. There are only 2 required pieces to this project-based learning. So I just have to choose the grade level and the topic or title or description, and it will create a full project plan. I could include additional detail and I could include standards. I'm just going to show you how one word can generate this really great project-based learning example. So it gives me the title of it, a driving question or challenge, real world context, in-depth inquiry, student voice and choice, reflection, all of these things that are fantastic for those high ability learners. And it also talks about what standards it aligns with. So this is great for high ability students, and it has all of those pieces into it that we want our students to work on. For example, collaborating, student voice and choice. And is it good for all students? Absolutely. But sometimes we need to find a way to extend the learning in our classroom. And this is a great way to do it. And it allows them to explore their own interests. So if they're already interested in baseball, then we would hope that being able to answer this question about how baseball has shaped American culture would be engaging to them and something that they would want to work perhaps independently on while other students are working on grade level standards that the high ability student has already proven mastery of. I'm going to show you math story word problems. So again, we can adjust the grade level, adjust the number of questions. I'm going to paste that standard, but I could just type in any maybe topic or objective, and then I can put a story topic. So on this one, again, I'm just going to stick with that baseball that we know the student is interested in, but I can adjust this and customize it. But hopefully you're seeing just how quickly the results come out. Okay, so what it does is create these math story word problems. But again, I can go to this customization and differentiate it for high ability students. And it gives me examples of how I can increase the complexity, give it a real world application, a visual representation. So I love this, asking students to create their own visual representations of percentages. And so again, this is just an extension to those story problems that were already created just within seconds. So it really differentiates the activity for you. And the same is true for the multiple choice quiz and assessment tool. Okay, so again, I can adjust my grade level. I can adjust my number of questions. I can either paste in the standard or give a description. What I like about this one is it also gives an answer key, but it has this caveat: always review AI generated answers for accuracy. So even the AI tool itself reminds you that you do need to make sure you check AI generated answers. And again, this one is easy to customize and differentiate for high ability students. Okay. So it gives you some question complexity suggestions, some modified question examples, some higher order thinking tasks, challenge components, and some other suggestions that you could use. So those are just some of the tools in Magic School AI. Again, I would recommend checking all of them out, but hopefully that gives you an idea of what some of them can do and how they can support your high ability learners. And here I give a comprehensive list of the tools that I showed that really speak to the learning environment for high ability students, as well as the curriculum, and ensuring that that is a rigorous and appropriate curriculum for those students. Thank you very much.